Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and salam UiTM. Before we start the program, let me introduce myself first. My name is Nur Syafiqah Nadia Bintudullah, a student of Bachelor of Information Science with Honor Information Content Management IM 249 from the Faculty of Information Management will be your moderator for today. Thank you to Allah for gathering us for today's program, sharing session with Cybersecurity Malaysia webinar Digital and Privacy Awareness. The topic today is OSINT in Digital Security and Privacy. I want to welcome our special guest speaker, Mr. Muhammad Riza bin Abu Bakar from Cybersecurity Malaysia. Before we proceeding with the program, I would like to call Abdul Rahman bin Muhammad Fauzi for a doa recital.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Ya Allah, today we gather here in our webinar program for this morning session to express our gratitude for your invaluable grace. Make us your servants who are always grateful for your favors. Ya Allah, Ya Rahman, Ya Rahim, you are the all-knowing that we are here want to gain the knowledge from this program and also your vast knowledge to further develop our potential as human beings. We ask you to bless our webinar program, give us your knowledge, shine our hearts with your light and guidance. Hopefully with it, we can easily accept, appreciate and practice all the knowledge that we will gain. Ya Zal Jalali wal Ikram, grant us limb health, mental fitness, peace of mind, and also the strength of spirit. Hopefully with it, we can face the challenges, be a competitive person, and also be able to raise the dignity of ourselves, our family, society, and our country. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار وصلى الله على محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم والحمد لله رب العالمين.
Thank you, Abdul Rahman, for the beautiful prayer. Webinar Digital Security and Privacy Awareness is a program that generally focuses on using tools and tips for managing cyber attacks involving data leaks. Next, to provide the understanding and raise awareness among the community, students and youth in Malaysia the importance of cybersecurity. Ladies and gentlemen, the attendance link will be provided 30 minutes before the program ends. Therefore, the participants are requested to remain online throughout the program. Before we start our program, we would like to remind the participants that the views shared today are solely the speaker's personal opinions and do not represent the viewpoint of the university. Without wasting our time, the first video module related to Information Security Management System (ISMS) from Cybersecurity Malaysia will be shown shortly.
Ladies and gentlemen, attention.
October 2017 was the darkest time for Malaysian cybersecurity. A telecommunications staff stumbled upon a disturbing news from an international trading forum. The news revealed a huge amount of local database, including phone serial numbers and addresses, are up for sale. Cybersecurity Malaysia Cyber 999 operator received that report and verified that 46.2 million data were leaked from 12 Malaysian mobile operators. In recent years, as Malaysia encountered increased in cyber threat, a defensive system guideline must be developed to overcome this problem. Cyber attackers target all businesses, as our daily transactions with a client or supplier involve collecting information like name, address, and sometimes identity card number, as well as bank account details. The information, if fallen into wrong hands, leads to crimes like identity theft, which commonly associated with data breach. It is advisable for businesses to implement Information Security Management System (ISMS). ISMS is a systematic approach consisting processes, technology and people to protect and manage an organization's information through effective risk management. ISMS focuses on protecting three key aspects of information. First is confidentiality. Second is integrity. And third is availability. In order to develop an ISMS best practice, ISO 27001 is the international standard that provides specification and covers the compliance requirements. An ISO 27001 compliant ISMS ensures businesses comply with laws and also protect all forms of information, increase organizations' resilience towards cyber attacks, secure and manage the organization's information, reduce threat of evolving risks, and enable employees to understand risks and embrace security controls. ISMS is a holistic approach to reduce cyber attack risks towards businesses in order to prevent data breach and maintain productivity pace. This is Susie. She is an administrator for a major corporation. One night, a snatch thief steals her bag just outside her home. The thief escapes to his hideout and immediately empties the bag. However, the situation is unusual. The thief is not after Susie's money or credit card, but her smartphone, particularly the information stored in it. The purpose of confidentiality element in Information Security Management System (ISMS) is to ensure data protection by preventing unauthorized disclosure of information. Like the thief in Susie's story, he aims to retrieve sensitive information in Susie's smartphone to gain access to corporation where Susie works. Susie stores much confidential information in her phone, including password to her work database. By using a simple software, the thief cracks the smartphone and retrieves millions of consumer data, valuable in the black market. What can we learn here? First, data in your phone is easily cracked. Second, as the corporation does not implement confidentiality element in ISMS, anyone with a password is able to access all sensitive information. ISMS best practices only allow individuals with legitimate authorization to access certain information. The goal of confidentiality is to prevent irresponsible use of sensitive data. Susie's case is one example of cyber intrusion. There are other sophisticated forms of cyber attacks towards confidentiality. To ensure confidentiality, the following measures can be applied: strong passwords, multi-factor authentication, segregation of data, and to assign users according to privilege levels. All information in a company, including financial data, trade secrets, and legal documents, require confidentiality as they are valuable. Failure to maintain confidentiality leads to compromised sensitive information, which leads to devastation. Jamal is working on his desktop when suddenly an office-wide power surge happens. A few seconds later, the power resumes, but Jamal screams in anguish. His month's worth of work is corrupted. Upon hearing the scream, his colleague rushes in and comforts him. "Don't worry, Jamal, we have a good..." Segregation of data. Sensitive segregation of data. and to assign users according to privilege levels. All information in a company, including financial data, trade secrets and legal documents, require confidentiality as they are valuable. Failure to maintain confidentiality leads to compromised sensitive information, which leads to devastation. Jamal is working on his desktop when suddenly an office-wide power surge happens. A few seconds later, the power resumes, but Jamal screams in anguish. His month's worth of work is corrupted. Upon hearing the scream, his colleague rushes in and comforts him. "Don't worry, Jamal, we have a good system in place." Jamal's colleague is referring to the company's best practice integrity element in their Information Security Management System, ISMS. In the world of information security, integrity refers to accuracy and completeness of data. The system is designed to prevent data modification without authorization. Integrity involves maintaining consistency and validity of data over its entire life cycle. Precautionary steps are required to ensure data is not altered in an unauthorized event. In Jamal's situation, data integrity is often breached through human error, cyber attack, or hardware malfunction. To prevent unwanted modifications and to ensure information are restored if altered, regular backup is essential, as well as effective access privileges, version controls, and input validation. Jamal sighs in relief. He quickly accesses the company's cloud system, enters a two-factor authorization sequence, and retrieves the file that was automatically backed up. The overall goal of integrity is to guide the organization's information security effort to ensure sufficient protection of your most critical asset, information. In early 2021, like most people in Malaysia, Sarah works from home. That morning, she logs into her company's server via a web-based interface to retrieve a file from the database. However, the server is lagging. Sarah refreshes the site multiple times, causing the page to freeze. At that time, she does not realize that her company's database is under a cyber attack, of which affected information availability to all users. Availability in Information Security Management System, ISMS, refers to data being accessible as and when it is needed. Quite simply, it means that networks, systems and applications are up and running. Safeguarding business continuity relies heavily on maintaining hardware performance, software and communication channels to store and process information. In Sarah's case, her company's system experienced a distributed denial of service (DDoS) attack. A hacker intruded the system and sent millions of fake service requests per second. The server was forced to process multiple requests at a time, making other legitimate requests, like Sarah's login, cannot be processed on time. While DDoS attack is one of the common reasons for availability disruption, there are several other factors that affect information retrieval, such as hardware failure, software error, limited bandwidth, as well as natural disaster. To ensure availability, several countermeasures should be taken, including redundant hardware, redundant network connection, and regular system upgrades and patches. The main purpose of availability element in ISMS is to ensure information accessibility and smooth business operations with minimal downtime. Imagine this scenario. With a stroke of luck, you win ringgit cash, and it is immediately sent to you. Everyone around sees you receive the money as you stack them in a room, thinking of ways to safeguard it. Now, replace that money with information. Digital information that you store in a server are sensitive and important. How do you identify the right security systems to secure the information? Put aside the budget factor and let us discuss risk management under the Information Security Management System, ISMS. Information risk management address uncertainties around valuable information. In other words, the process of identifying, evaluating, and treating risks. In its methodology, there are 5 key steps to ensure a successful risk mitigation. First, identify the risk. In ISMS, the CIA triad, confidentiality, integrity, and availability must be present. Thus, any threats that disrupt these 3 elements are considered risk. Second is to analyze risks. The easiest approach is to determine risk probability and its corresponding causes. Third is to evaluate risk significance in terms of user, customer satisfactions, financial or other factors. Fourth is to treat risks. You are required to initiate risk response planning to minimize impact or terminate risks entirely. And lastly, like in every good planning, constant reviews and monitoring are critical to ensure risk responses are updated. Risk management allows businesses to prepare for threats by minimizing risks and extra costs before it happens. Planning is important to ensure smooth business continuity. To gain more insights on cybersecurity, reach out to Cybersecurity Malaysia via these platforms.
Dear participant, to keep the program running smoothly, I would like to advise you all to keep your microphone in silent mode throughout the program. The participants are also asked to remain online until the program ends. Before I call upon our guest speaker, let me introduce a bit of his academic background and working experience. Our speaker name is Mr. Muhammad Riza bin Abu Bakar. He holds a bachelor degree in information technology and a bachelor degree in multimedia from Swinburne University, Melbourne. And he currently holds the position of senior analyst at Cybersecurity Malaysia. He is knowledgeable in cybersecurity field with over 10 years of experience and expertise in conducting open source intelligence research, surveillance analysis, and evidence gathering for cybercrime. Next, the program continued with Cybersecurity Malaysia corporate video screening.
Seperti negara moden yang lain, negara kita Malaysia juga amat bergantung kepada penggunaan teknologi maklumat dan komunikasi (ICT) untuk menjalankan aktiviti sosial, politik dan ekonomi. Hal ini telah menyebabkan negara kita terdedah kepada pelbagai ancaman cyber yang semakin meningkat. Ancaman ini juga boleh memberi kesan yang mendalam kepada kehidupan seharian kita. Menyedari akan keperluan untuk menangani isu-isu berkaitan keselamatan cyber yang semakin berleluasa, maka kerajaan telah menubuhkan Cyber Security Malaysia yang berperanan sebagai sebuah pusat pakar teknikal keselamatan cyber di bawah kawal selia Kementerian Komunikasi dan Multimedia Malaysia, KKMM. Cyber Security Malaysia telah ditubuhkan pada 20 Ogos 2007 dan diberi mandat untuk memelihara aspek keselamatan nasional serta mengenal pasti perkara-perkara yang boleh menggugat keselamatan negara dan kehidupan masyarakat. Justru, Cyber Security Malaysia telah menyediakan dan menawarkan pelbagai jenis perkhidmatan dan sokongan teknikal berkaitan keselamatan cyber, termasuklah program jangkauan luar, outreach, serta program latihan profesional dan pembangunan kapasiti dalam bidang keselamatan cyber. Perkhidmatan Tindak Balas Keselamatan Cyber. Pasukan Tindak Balas Kecemasan Cyber Malaysia, MyCert, terdiri daripada penganalisis dan pakar dalam bidang pengendalian insiden dan penyelidikan malware. Ia menawarkan perkhidmatan seperti Cyber 999, Coordinated Malware Eradication and Remediation Project atau CMERP, Lebah Net, Pusat Penyelidikan Ancaman Cyber, CTRC, dan Perunding Pasukan Tindak Balas Insiden Keselamatan Komputer, CSIRT. Dengan visi dan matlamat untuk mempromosikan kecemerlangan sains forensik digital, selain membantu dalam menambah baik bidang forensik digital secara berterusan dan mempromosikan kesedaran, Pasukan Forensik Digital Cyber Security Malaysia telah menyediakan perkhidmatan bertaraf dunia, antaranya Cyber CSI, Cyber Dev, Cyber Discovery, dan peralatan X-Forensik. Perkhidmatan proaktif keselamatan cyber. Kemudahan Penilaian Keselamatan Malaysia, MySafe, merupakan perkhidmatan kemudahan penilaian Malaysian di bawah skim penilaian dan pensijilan kriteria bersama Malaysia, MyCC, iaitu kemudahan penilaian MS-ISO IEC 17025 yang diiktiraf. Ia berhasrat untuk mewujudkan persekitaran komputer yang selamat dan terjamin dengan menyediakan perkhidmatan penilaian keselamatan ICT. Hal ini dapat dilaksanakan dengan adanya perkhidmatan penilaian dan pemantauan seperti perkhidmatan keselamatan awan, perkhidmatan khidmat nasihat, perkhidmatan makmal dan latihan. Pusat Penilaian Kerentanan Malaysia, MyVac, telah ditubuhkan untuk meningkatkan ekosistem keselamatan maklumat nasional dan meningkatkan daya tahan negara terhadap ancaman cyber serta eksploitasi disebabkan oleh keterdedahan teknologi dan sistem maklumat. Perkhidmatan yang disediakan oleh MyVac termasuklah ujian penilaian kelemahan dan pencerobohan, VAPT, Sistem Kawalan Industri, ICS, Kita Hayat Pembangunan Keselamatan Perisian, SSDLC, IR 4.0 dan Internet of Things, IoT, serta latihan profesional. Peranan utama pengurusan dan jaminan keselamatan maklumat, ISMA, adalah untuk melaksanakan pengurusan keselamatan maklumat Cyber Security Malaysia berdasarkan ISO IEC 27001 Sistem Pengurusan Keselamatan Maklumat, Tadbir Urus, Pengurusan Risiko dan Pematuhan Keselamatan Maklumat atau ISGRIC Health Check Assessment merupakan antara perkhidmatan yang disediakan khas untuk agensi kerajaan dan sektor swasta bagi menilai tahap ketersediaan semasa dari segi keselamatan tadbir urus, pengurusan risiko dan pematuhan. Antara perkhidmatan lain yang ditawarkan ialah siri panduan pelaksanaan pengurusan keselamatan maklumat, pengurusan kesinambungan perniagaan dan penilaian kerahsiaan maklumat. Pembangunan kriptografi, CDD, telah ditubuhkan untuk mempelopori penyelidikan dan pembangunan dalam pelbagai bidang kriptografi yang kini merangkumi R&D dalam bidang teknologi ledger teragih, blockchain. Dengan adanya makmal MyCell diiktiraf oleh National Voluntary Laboratory Accreditation Program, NVLab Amerika Syarikat, kini CDD boleh membuat penilaian pada pelaksanaan kriptografi yang betul melalui perkhidmatan pengesahan modul dan algoritma. Badan Pengiktirafan Keselamatan Maklumat atau ISCB pula menguruskan perkhidmatan pensijilan dalam bidang keselamatan maklumat. ISCB menyediakan perkhidmatan pensijilan mengikut standard dan garis panduan antarabangsa seperti MyCC, ISMS dan TSA. Outreach dan pembangunan kapasiti. Cyber Security Malaysia bercita-cita untuk menerapkan pengetahuan dan kemahiran yang diperlukan dalam kalangan warga kerja keselamatan cyber dengan menyediakan kursus kompetensi dan keupayaan dalam bidang keselamatan cyber serta pensijilan yang diiktiraf di persada antarabangsa melalui program seperti Cyber Guru dan pensijilan Global ACE atau Global Accredited Cyber Security Education Certification. Selain itu, kami juga berhasrat untuk menerapkan kesedaran terhadap keselamatan cyber dan membantu mewujudkan dunia digital yang lebih selamat melalui program capaian kami. Di samping membantu melindungi maklumat dalam talian dan peranti pengguna, kami juga menekankan budaya warga digital dalam kalangan masyarakat yang mempunyai latar belakang pekerjaan dan gaya hidup yang berbeza. Program Cyber Safe, kesedaran keselamatan cyber untuk semua, telah dibangunkan untuk menyemai kesedaran mengenai keselamatan cyber dan amalan terbaik dalam penggunaan teknologi, komputer dan maklumat, termasuklah penggunaan internet yang selamat dan positif. Antara inisiatif di bawah Cyber Safe adalah Ceramah Cyber Safe, CSAT, Cyber Safe CyberQuest, Cyber Safe Mentor, Cyber Safe Ambassador, Pertandingan Wacana Keselamatan ICT Kebangsaan, NICSET dan Hari Keselamatan Internet. Kajian dan hubungan strategik dengan kerjasama pihak berkepentingan dari organisasi kerajaan dan bukan kerajaan. Bahagian kajian dan hubungan strategik meneroka sebarang peluang untuk memperkenalkan program penyelidikan kolaboratif dan perhubungan kerja yang signifikan. Penerokaan strategik ini menyokong inisiatif keselamatan cyber yang efektif dan inovatif pada peringkat domestik dan global bagi memastikan cyber security Malaysia kekal kompetitif, relevan dan bersesuaian dengan persekitaran keselamatan cyber yang berkembang dengan pesat. Pembangunan industri dan penyelidikan. Cyber Security Malaysia juga menambah baik instrumen transformasi dengan menyatukan penyelidikan melibatkan komuniti termaju di kesemua bidang penyelidikan ini dalam lanskap yang sentiasa berkembang pesat. Maka Cyber Security Malaysia terlibat secara aktif dan bekerjasama dengan industri tempatan melalui program tahunan iaitu Cyber Security Malaysia Awards Conference and Exhibition, Cyber Security Collaboration Program serta My Cyber Security Clinic. Tahap kebergantungan terhadap penggunaan ICT dalam kehidupan harian kita makin hari makin meningkat. Oleh itu, usaha untuk mewujudkan persekitaran cyber yang selamat lagi kondusif adalah sangat penting. Keselamatan cyber anda adalah kepentingan kami. Dengan kerjasama yang bersepadu, kita mampu menjadikan ekosistem keselamatan cyber di negara kita menjadi sebuah ruang yang selamat dan terlindung daripada sebarang bentuk ancaman dan serangan cyber untuk seluruh rakyat Malaysia. Cyber Security Malaysia melindungi ruang cyber anda.
Without further ado, we would like to invite Mr. Riza Abu Bakar to present his talk today. With all due respect, welcome.
Thank you, Nur Shafika. Assalamualaikum and good morning. Can everyone hear and see me clearly?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, you can.
Great. Okay, so I apologize for wearing a mask as I'm speaking from the office. And we've had a number of cases here previously, and I'd prefer to be safe than sorry. So welcome to the Digital Security and Privacy Awareness webinar on behalf of Cybersecurity Malaysia and ISCB. I would like to thank everyone for attending this webinar, especially the hardworking team from the Faculty of Information Management, UiTM, for giving me the opportunity to speak and share some of my knowledge and experience with you today. So the topic you are seeing on the screen is what I'll be speaking about in the next slides. OSINT, or Open Source Intelligence, is a topic in which some of you may or may not be familiar with. So today I'll be speaking about digital security and privacy awareness in the perspective of OSINT, which is a platform used by many in the realm of cybersecurity with the purpose of collecting intelligence consisting of open source data or information. So you might be asking why I'm talking about collecting data when the topic is about digital security and privacy. The reason for that is to explain how open source intelligence, or OSINT, can play an important role in creating situational awareness on your digital security and privacy. And at the same time, OSINT can also be used to invade your privacy by criminals, which is where the subject of OSINT can sometimes be controversial and sits in a vague line in information security. This will be elaborated further later on in my slides. Basically, this session will be packed with information, and my session won't be enough to cover everything. So I will go through the concepts of OSINT, show you some examples of how OSINT is used to extract, gather, and analyze information on an individual, a subject, or an issue, or an organization. So I prefer my talk sessions to be interactive. You may ask questions, but for the purpose of continuity and time management, I'd like to suggest we stick to the schedule. If you have any thoughts or inquiries, write them down and you can ask during the Q&A session at the end. I will try to answer your questions to the best of my ability. But first, let me introduce myself and my background. My name is Muhammad Rizal Abu Bakar. I'm currently a senior analyst with Information Security Certification Body, or ISCB, in Cybersecurity Malaysia. As you've seen in the video, ISCB is a certification body mainly certifying organizations by auditing via international cybersecurity-based standards. Little background on myself. I've worked with Cybersecurity Malaysia for more than 12 years as a certified ethical hacker and security analyst. And I was also recently certified as a ISMS lead auditor. Now, to be honest, I'm fairly new at ISCB, roughly about 10 months. Prior to ISCB, I was stationed in another department, also in Cybersecurity Malaysia, where my main role in the department was to assist mainly law enforcement agencies in investigating crime, specifically cybercrime. So in ISCB, I'm assigned to a few projects. Training and creating awareness on digital security and privacy is one of them. So these are some of the trainings I've attended. The notable ones in yellow would be the countermeasures against cybercrime with the National Police Agency of Japan, where I spent 2 months with them and other participants from other countries, strategizing and discussing on methods of cybercrime investigations. In case you're wondering, JICA, or Japan International Cooperation Agency, was the main sponsor and organizer. They offer many courses in different fields, and if you get an offer from them in the future, I highly recommend it. The other notable training would be the OSINT Specialist and Infrastructure Attack in Herefordshire, UK, for 3 weeks. The trainings were done in a converted farmland in the middle of nowhere with no phone signals, and we were surrounded by sheep. So, came back after 3 weeks, diagnosed with influenza B and measles at the same time, warded in CCU for 2 weeks. After 1 week of recovery, diagnosed with dengue and warded in the same hospital. So that was some of the battle scars I can tell you about in the process of building up my knowledge. So these are the 5 pillars of services available in Cybersecurity Malaysia, as you've seen in the video. The trainings which I've mentioned previously lies mainly in Cybersecurity Malaysia's responsive and proactive services. For career development purposes, for outreach and capacity building, I have also given trainings and talks to government agencies, and even a resident association, a club Rukun Tetangga in Pahang, just to raise awareness on the dangers of cybercrime and the use of social media. My experiences in using OSINT for cybercrime investigations involves different types of cybercrime, from counterfeiting syndicates, counterterrorism, sedition, fraud, online gambling, and even cases related to physical kidnapping. So investigation services on the cybercrimes above were solely based on technical assistance, as cybersecurity does not have an act of its own and we are not a law enforcement agency. So these are the clients I've dealt with, various Royal Malaysian Police Departments such as JSJK, D7, the Special Branch Counterterrorism Unit, the Attorney General's Chambers, Ministry of Domestic Trade and Consumers Affairs, Ministry of Health, PMO, a few private and public entities. So the next slides contains example cases I've worked on in cybersecurity in Malaysia. From common online scams in mudah.my to investigating large timber companies. Unfortunately, I cannot share with you the exact details on some of the cases, as some of it are still ongoing and some are highly confidential. So just a remark before I proceed, there will be images shown that might make you feel uncomfortable. So bear with me. I also would like to ask participants to not take any pictures with your phone or print screen any of the slides. Thank you. So the cases that will be shown are examples of cases that used OSINT as an investigation method and tools, as well as combining the investigation techniques from the requesting law enforcement agencies. Right, so these are some examples of common online fraud cases. When I was doing investigations, on average, we can get about 4 to 5 of these cases daily. And those 4 to 5 cases are only from one district police headquarters. And we have been providing assistance to multiple state and district of police officers around the country. So that's a lot of cases. Some victims are not as lucky. Most victims don't even get their order, only lost money. One of the most common platform users are vulnerable to fraud is mudah.my and Carousel. This is largely due to the users not verifying the sellers by identifying the legitimacy, not just because of the platform itself. Other notable cases within the fraud and scams are romance scams, Macau scams, and digital currency or Bitcoin scams, to be specific. Funny photo. On to the next case. Abu Khattab, Malaysia. This was a terrorism case involving a Malaysian who went to Syria and joined ISIS. He was there for a couple of months, and while he was there, he promoted the ISIS propaganda to Malaysians on his Facebook account. So basically, he was a recruiter. So E8 Counterterrorism asked to find out where he was and to monitor his activities on Facebook. And the story was that he was shot in the arm while he was in Syria, came back home. He was planning to recruit people to join ISIS before going back to Syria. With the help of information collected through his Facebook account and some help from Facebook itself and E8, he was actually arrested in 2015. The suspect was charged under Section 130J1B of the Penal Code for entering Syria to support terrorism and was sentenced to 9 years instead of 15 after pleading. This was a request from Immigration Malaysia. Helge was a fugitive on the run from Norway for scamming Norwegians with job placements in Malaysia. We were asked to assist to track Helge's whereabouts as Interpol had issued a raid notice, which is the highest notice for fugitives. Soon after that, Helge went missing in action. So based on reconnaissance through information gathering using OSINT, we knew that Helge married a local woman from Ipoh. Due to the fact that Helge went radio silence and was inactive on his websites and social media, we pivoted the search for information on his wife. So obviously, Helge had to contact his wife one way or another, the only local he could trust. So the search for information on his wife was focused on her location. And the location was found from her website registration details from the website hosting provider, which was her home address. So a few weeks of ground surveillance bared its fruit when Helge finally came home to his wife's house in Ipoh. He was captured by the authorities on 22nd January 2019 and extradited by Interpol to Norway soon after that. So the story of Helge was actually quite an interesting one. He was actually hiding in an island in Thailand, close to a northern state of Malaysia. He would come back to Malaysia by a fishing boat. Halfway through the international water boundary, he jumped off the boat, swam illegally for a few hundred meters to land, and then took public transport down to Ipoh. So that's what he did for a couple of months. This is a case involving a suspect who insulted the Sultan of Perak and religion through a Facebook posting using the name Chow Jack. Another case involving insulting the religion of Islam. The suspect used the name Makcik Hajah Sid Al-Wuzara. I'm not sure if some of you might remember this case. And a few other usernames to insult the Prophet Muhammad and Islam on WordPress, Facebook, and Twitter account. So gathering information and investigations using OSINT went on for about 6 months. For half a year, we monitored her activities and made a few successful attempts to block her account through official requests via Interpol, Ministry of Home Affairs, JAKIM, and Twitter itself, although there were a few platforms that rejected the request based on the First Amendment, which is the freedom of speech. So our search for information using OSINT found her home address in Taman Tun Dr. Ismail, and it was later revealed that she had migrated to Sweden. Local authorities blocked her from entering Malaysia, and all accounts on Facebook were soon after deactivated and deleted as fake profiles. Right. Once in a while, cases like this pop up and requested by the authorities. D11 of Royal Malaysian Police found a child pornography account on Facebook and a forum and requested for assistance in investigating its users suspected to be local Malaysians. So it was a traumatic experience seeing reading the postings of people inside the forum, as we needed to investigate these people. They were trading child pornography videos and photos. It took months to gather information on the users, and also took months for me to recover as well. Next is a case requested by the AGC, or the Attorney General Chambers. Involved multiple companies and individuals suspected to be in a syndicate selling fighter jet components of the Royal Malaysian Air Force. So link analysis and information gathering using OSINT were done on the individuals involved. So I've told you about my background and experience as an OSINT analyst, and shown examples of cases that I've worked on using OSINT. So what exactly is OSINT? OSINT is an acronym of Open Source Intelligence. There are a few definitions on OSINT. The first being methods and tools to collect or gather, analyze specific type of information on a subject, entity, or target from publicly available sources. The second one being an act of gathering different kinds of information against the targeted victim or system. There are different modes of OSINT. There's passive, semi-passive, and active, but OSINT is never offensive. And OSINT is not hacking. So OSINT is a mixture of, if you imagine a hybrid role of a researcher and a private investigator, if you will. So what is OSINT? OSINT is actually a branch of intelligence. It refers to all the information that is publicly available. It's a quick fact, 90% of useful information acquired by intelligence services comes from public sources. OSINT sources are distinguished from other forms of intelligence because they must be legally accessible by the public without breaching any copyright, patents, or privacy laws. That's why they are considered publicly available. SOCMINT, or social media intelligence, is a sub-branch of OSINT. It refers to the information collected from social media websites or platforms. The data available on social media sites can be either open to the public, for example, public posts on Facebook or LinkedIn. And other types of intelligence are human, which is human intelligence, geolocation intelligence, IMINT, imagery intelligence, and SIGINT, which is signal intelligence. So you might be asking, who uses OSINT? So these are the users of OSINT in general. The government, United States government, has its open source center, which is called the Director of National Intelligence Open Source Center. It is aimed to promote the acquisition, procurement, analysis, and dissemination of open source information, products, and services throughout the US government. Military, police also use OSINT. For media and news, BBC, Monitoring, The Economist, they use OSINT. For private, there are Janes, security investigation contractors, law firms, hiring or job agencies, academics, businesses use market intelligence as well. For NGOs, there's the International Red Cross and the United Nations. They use OSINT for analyzing and gathering information to deliver relief or medical aids to war-torn countries and parts of the world where they need assistance. So OSINT has its own framework as a guide when searching for information on the internet. The framework covers a wide range of resources from usernames, email addresses, images, videos, location, terrorism, dark web, digital currency, among others. There's too many to mention here. This is where your digital security and privacy comes into play. Your information on the internet, your username, email, name, phone numbers, and so on, are not exactly safe if it is not secured properly. So your digital footprints, which I've mentioned previously, can possibly be tracked to your personal identifiable information, or PII. We'll get into this later on. So the framework resources include open source services and specific tools, dedicated search engines, databases specific to that category to assist in acquiring information on a subject, be it a person, a document, or location, depending on the requirements. From an investigations perspective, where you need to consider every aspect and view information in every possible way, this framework serves as an excellent guideline and a structured approach for information gathering, be it for investigations, academic research, or national security or market intelligence. Example for searching information on images, videos, and documents. Subcategories include searching for images on Instagram, Flickr, searching for metadata or information behind that particular image, and also forensics. For social networks, we have Facebook, Skype, Snapchat, and LinkedIn as the first level search. Other social networks are also available. Transportation-wise, you have vehicle records, air traffic, marine, and railway records. Please note that this framework were created and maintained by mostly OSINT experts from Western countries. Therefore, some of the resources here, like the transportation records, are mostly not local. However, we do have local open source resources that have similar features. So we can actually customize that framework to be more local or localized. And then the OSINT cycle. I've shown you examples of cases investigated using OSINT, techniques, concept, and the definition itself. We've seen the OSINT framework, where requirements and the resources needed can be defined to achieve an objective using a structured approach of searching for information. So like any other process, OSINT also has its own cycle. The first being the methodology used, often called profiling in investigations. It refers to how, where, and when the information is collected, how, where, and when was the information found. For example, was it searched on Facebook or Twitter, or through Google search results, and then viewed on Twitter? So the other thing to note is the when part, where when was the information found? Was it found on the day the posting was made? Was it 2 hours or 2 days later? Next, we have the tools in the OSINT cycle, which plays an important part in acquiring information. In OSINT, there are open source tools, which is free, And there are also subscription-based tools where you need to pay to get full information. Services such as MyEG and SSM e-info requires registration and subscription, and basically you need credits to actually um, get those information from them. Um, basically, it could be anybody. You can just register an account and get an information on anyone as long as you have the initial requirement information. Analysis in a cycle is where all the information acquired is analyzed. It's like assembling a jigsaw puzzle where which information goes where in the picture. Let's say that the subject is found to have his photo and check-ins on Facebook, his email address listed on his Instagram account, and his phone number on Twitter. So this information needs to be linked to prove that they are of the same owner. So the information also needs to be verified. Has anyone else posted the same contents? What was the time and date? And does it match the time and date of the original posting that was requested by the stakeholder? Uh, this is because if you in investigations, if you get it wrong, an innocent person might go to jail instead. So you need to be really precise. So the analysis cycle is the more daunting process of profiling or information gathering. In the perspective of an OSINT analyst, besides gathering information, preserving that information is equally important, as evidences or information gathered will be used by the stakeholder or the law enforcement agencies involved during trials in court. And finally, we have the reporting, which is the final stage of the cycle, where the analysis and summary of all information or evidence acquired is compiled into a comprehensive intelligence report detailing all the findings that pinpoints to the subject or the objective. This report is then handed over to the stakeholder, for example, the police. So this is one of the tips for OSINT. It helps you plan and collect data, but the end result of that tool is not OSINT. You still have to analyze, receive, feedback, refine, and produce a final actionable product of value before you call it intelligence. So basically, the report is needs to contain finesse data, an understandable format where a non-technical or someone not from an investigation background to be able to understand the presented intelligence report. Next comes OSINT profiling. So part of my work includes cybercrime profiling using OSINT, which involves acquiring as much information as I can on a criminal or a subject. That involves tracing digital footprints of a suspect or organization or a trending issue. So in profiling, there are certain aspects that an analyst or investigator has to consider to collect information that can be used as evidence to prove that an offense or a crime has been committed. There are two types of profiling. One being proactive, which is profiling a suspect of a crime as it happens, and preemptive, which involves profiling a potential subject, issue, or suspect when there is a suspicion that a crime or a threat is about to happen. Okay, now that we've gone through the OSINT framework, let's take a look at the steps involved in OSINT. The profiling process is a mixture of link analysis and observation. Collecting evidence in real time on the internet for both proactive and preemptive cases requires a large amount of attention to detail, and time is of the essence. This is because in the internet, websites, social media posts, and other type of evidence that can be used against the perpetrator of a cybercrime can disappear or be deleted. So in link analysis, evidence or details that should be considered important are, for example, the website or account owner, the hosting provider, friends, colleagues, family of a suspect on social media, IP addresses, user ID, and username. So an analyst needs to know which information can be considered crucial to be an evidence and what is not. For example, if a cybercrime suspect has 15 websites, but only one is active, should the other 14 websites be considered as evidence? So observation in the profiling process is needed to validate the evidence status. For example, where a social media post or an article containing a threat is posted on someone else's website or social media account or on the suspect's own profile page or timeline. So that needs to be validated. We also need to validate when the social media post was uploaded. Was it yesterday, few hours ago, and what is the frequency of postings made by the suspect? Is it hourly, daily, or random? We also need to validate the exact location of the evidence. URL or Universal Resource Locator, the hosting provider of the website or the platform. This needs to be recorded for digital forensic purposes to verify the information is the same acquired from the preemptive or proactive processes. As I mentioned before, there are 3 different OSINT modes in information gathering. The first being passive OSINT, which is by default is the most used OSINT gathering or information gathering method. It is the most used mode, the safest. However, it can sometimes produce unpredictable results as information can be coming from multiple unverified sources, therefore needing re-verification. The second OSINT mode is semi-passive OSINT. This is more technical in nature. This type of information gathering sends internet traffic to target servers in order to acquire general information about them. This way, you are not implementing in-depth investigation of the target's online resources, but only investigating it lightly without launching any alarm within the group you are investigating. As an example would be requesting for a Twitter account information through the Twitter API or application programming interface. Certain OSINT techniques and tools will be able to extract an email address or a phone number registered to that account, even though the email or phone number is not publicly listed on that page. However, it is slightly dangerous because even though you won't be launching any alarms to the account owner, you will be likely the but you might trigger an alarm with Twitter, and Twitter might alert the account owner. Finally, we have the active OSINT profiling, which is where you interact directly with the system or the subject to gather intelligence about it. The target can become aware of the reconnaissance process, since collecting information about that person or entity will use advanced techniques to harvest technical data. So, and a simpler example of active OSINT is someone requesting a friend request on Facebook, or leaving a message in your inbox via Facebook chat with a link to a survey or a contest. So clicking on that link might have the potential to expose your IP address and your browser details, making you vulnerable to hackers. So OSINT, for legal and ethical considerations when using OSINT, so basically OSINT and SOAPMINT is not hacking, but is it legal and ethical? In general, yes. But in OSINT, social engineering can also be used, which involves creating fake accounts and avatars to interact with the subject virtually to collect more information. In example, if you have a Facebook account and you are a criminal and I request to be a friend, you accept my friend request, is that legal? Yes, because you voluntarily accepted my friend request. So when you accept my friend request, that is all I need to collect more information. I can collect information on your friends or followers. I can view your check-ins, your photos, your posts, except for an IP address where I would have to get you to click on a link to get your device information, ISP, and IP address. But even that is a voluntarily act. So think twice before you click on a link. In my previous experience, when OSINT data is not sufficient, there is always the alternative method of requesting information from the website or social media platform itself. Although this requires a court order, a police report, and the necessary documents from the requester to be provided to the platform. Since most website hosting providers are social media companies, and they are based overseas, there is always the Mutual Legal Assistance Treaty, or MLAT, procedures to be followed in order to acquire information. But please remember that certain social media platforms are required by law to inform the user if a request has been made to obtain information about their account. So here we have the OSINT benefits and scenarios. The first being, it's less risky. Using publicly available information to collect intelligence has no risk compared to using humans on the ground to collect information, especially in hostile situations or countries. So compared to the traditional type of intelligence where a private investigator might disguise himself, goes on the ground, sits in a car for few days and using binoculars and so on, OSINT has less risk than that. It is also cost effective. It is less expensive to compared to other intelligence sources like human resources or spy satellites to collect intelligence, which can become costly. It is also accessible. It's always available everywhere, no matter where you are, just as long as you have an internet connection, a computer, or a phone. You can use OSINT. Legal issues. OSINT can be shared between different parties without worrying about breaching any copyright license, as these resources are already published publicly. In these are the examples of scenarios of OSINT. You can assist in investigations. It allows profiling cyber criminals, find missing persons, trace human trafficking syndicates, and assist victims of natural disasters.
Sorry, Mr. Riza, can I interrupt?
Yes.
I cannot see your face right now because only the background there.
Oh, okay, sorry. Can you actually see the slides though?
Yes, I can. Okay, right now I can see.
Okay. Right. Okay, so OSINT can help in preventing online counterfeiting as well. It can be used to find counterfeit products on the internet and direct enforcement agencies to close sites or send warnings to websites to stop dealing with them. There's also market intelligence where OSINT helps businesses and organizations to understand customers' behaviors, their competitors and product trends. And finally, preemptive scenarios where OSINT can help in predicting sentiments, help decision making and creation of solutions to a problem. So what OSINT is not, it is not doxing. It is doxing is searching and publishing of information about a subject on the internet, typically with malicious intent. It can lead to physical harassment. There were cases of doxing where uh, information on an individual were used to subscribe to magazines, pizza deliveries, leak of private photos and family information. So in reality, doxing is dangerous. Victims have lost jobs, experienced emotional trauma, and for some, even suicide. So in recent years, there has been an increase in so-called digital raids all over the world, including Malaysia, at the instigation of one or more people, usually from a public forum or discussion group on WhatsApp, Facebook, and so on. Individuals insult another person in a pack on a social network. So the goal is to publicly harass and humiliate a person. So in the OSINT community, you need to use it with caution, ethically and responsibly. If not, it will backfire and affect you and others around you. So using it for personal benefits and to abuse the knowledge and skill is frowned upon in the OSINT community as well. So social media sites open numerous opportunities for online investigations because of the vast amount of useful information located in one place. For example, you can get a great deal of personal information about any person worldwide by just checking their Facebook page. So information such as the person of interest connections on Facebook, is political views, religion, ethnicity, country of origin, personal images, videos, and so on can be traced and found in a Facebook profile. So you can see here, in the photos and videos category, we can actually identify and extract a lot of information. From email addresses, we can get a phone number, identify date and time, association, and finally we have is messages where you can find the phone number, location, and relationships of a certain individual or account owner. Basically, today the internet, specifically social media platforms, offers abundance of features to cater to different types of users. Instagram has stories, YouTube and TikTok for video content creators, and so on. So these platforms have one thing in common, which is sharing. Some people share their daily routines and some share travel videos. So now this trend on social media is becoming content creators. You see a lot of YouTubers, influencers, and so on. And to become one, you need followers, friends, likes, views, subscribers to get noticed and possibly gain monetary benefits and popularity. In order to get those, you need to upload content, obviously, and frequently to get people to be interested. This is how it works, especially on social media. So in the process of doing so, users of social media tend to overshare information. What you share on the internet, for example, your email address, your username, your website, comments and postings are examples of what is called digital footprints. Digital footprints in some cases can be tracked to your personally identifiable information or PII. In a worst case scenario, your PII are directly published on the internet and social media. So these are some of the digital footprints you leave behind on the internet when you use it. This is the definition of PII. It refers to the publication of your information, which is, for example, your IC number, your phone number, and so on, which is directly linked to you. Let's take a look at some of the examples here. An email address is seen here posted on LinkedIn. This is one example of a digital footprint. We have check-ins, locations or places you frequently visit or have been to is listed here in your Facebook check-ins. This can be misused by cyber criminals to track your routine, for example. People offering selling services, products online often place phone numbers on their posts. If you can see here, there's the WhatsApp link of this particular Facebook account owner. So that is clearly your PII published by the owner themselves. Here we have names and IC numbers on a PDF document published on the internet. This is a perfect example of PII. Many users on social media overlook this by uploading photos of themselves or with their vehicle in the background on social media. So pivoting on information already found at the initial stages of OSINT are done to extract more information. So the purpose of this is to gather enough information for further action to be taken. For example, if you have already obtained a Facebook group, in this example, we are using a Facebook group called Barang Apa Sampai Hari Ini. How do you pivot that information to gain more information? Do you need an email address or a phone number or the administrators of that account? Where and how can you find that based on the information you already have? So this is kind of like the flow of information pivoting with the existing information that you already have. Okay. Next, we will look into starting OSINT on Facebook. Most of the time, target acquiring involves a social media post. It contains opinions, photos or videos, or a person, group, or organization. Backtracking in OSINT term on the digital footprints of that post or person is the most effective method. This metrics table highlights the crucial information that needs to be gathered when conducting OSINT on Facebook. So in this case scenario, we will analyze the Barang Apa Sampai Hari Ini Facebook group. This is a posting made by a user called Mus Muhammad. We start with a posting made by this particular individual asking a question in a Facebook group called Tukang Apa Hari Ini. So we need to identify what, which is a posting made by Mus Muhammad. And then comes the when factor. To find out the date of a posting made by Mus Muhammad, roll over the date and you will find the exact time and date when the posting was created and uploaded. We will analyze when the group was created in the next slide. For the when analysis, we can find out the type of group, page, account by rolling over the name of the page in the posting. So if you roll over here, it is a Tukang Apa Hari Ini is a public group. We know that the page does not require approval for you to join it. So if you were to join the group, then it can be considered as passive OSINT. And lastly, we have the who factor. From observation, we know it's a public group. Hence, there's no invitation is required to join or view the group's contents. We also know it's an established group with more than 300,000 members. So if you were to pivot this kind of information and to find out more, how do we find out who made the Facebook group? So in the About section of the groups page, you can scroll down to the admins and moderators section. There you will find the names and links to the accounts of all 15 of the page admins and moderators. Please remember that some group and pages admins and moderators may choose to hide this information. What other information can we find about this page? So here we can find when the group was created. We can find out if the group's name was changed since it was created. Why do we need that information? Because if the current name differs from the previous name, we can use the previous name to actually pivot that information. So the other Facebook accounts linked to that group, we can use that to pivot and collect more information from. So if you can see here, these are actually shortened URLs. When you roll over them, they are actually links to other social media accounts belonging to this group. So we now know that they have more than one group. To analyze when the group was created and if there are any changes to the name of the group name, click on the About section of Transparency, where you can see that the name was changed twice and the original name was actually Tukang Apa Hari Ini. So to see more information, you can just click more or see more. You can see the exact dates when the group was created and when it changed its name. Search engine OSINT. When searching for information, my preferences is actually to start with the search engine first before I start with specific tools. I do this to give me a general idea of what kind of search results I can get with regards to my subject. So each search engine provide you with a certain degree of difference in the results. So it's best to search on a few search engines and then compare the results before you move on to specific tools. Two of the most popular search engines are Google and Bing. When I say difference in results, certain search engines like Naver, a Korean search engine, is a native Korean search engine. So therefore, the majority of keywords in it are Korean. So, and as you know, the Korean alphabet is different from the English language. So abc@gmail.com might be spelled differently in Naver. So these are some of the search engines that you can use to conduct OSINT or information gathering. There is also the search operators you can use to search for information. You can use this to actually get more detailed results, because when you search without using the search operators, especially on Google, the results will contain a lot more than what you queried for. So basically you need to filter all the results and that would take a lot of time and so on. Okay, so these are some of the examples of search operators you can use on Google. There's also services such as this, which is searchopener.com, which is a service which allows you to do multiple search on multiple search engines at one time. Next, we have the email OSINT. Now that you have defined your objective, let's look at different types of channels or sources that you can use to start gathering information. For example, if you have a specific email address that you want to find and information on, Googling it would be the best idea. But sifting through Google search results isn't the most efficient way to find results all the time. And as not all email addresses are public. So with OSINT, you can always verify if that email exists in the first place to save you some time. These are the possible information that can be extracted from a Gmail account if it is found to exist. This information can then be further analyzed and pivoted to extract more information. So if I were to profile a Gmail account, a Gmail email address, I can actually get this information listed here. Email addresses often contain usernames. Pivoting from email addresses to search for a possible username is often done to see if we can triangulate if the same username is used elsewhere on the internet. For example, the email address ao_1987@gmail.com. So our username could then be ao_1987, which we could also use in other email addresses, hotmail.com, outlook.com, or use on social media such as Facebook, Instagram, and so on. Some people prefer to use the same username in their email address for the sake of memorization. Obviously, it is easier to remember your username on Instagram if it matches the email ID you used for registering the account. Next would be the phone number OSINT, where you can gather intelligence or information on a phone number. Free resources for gathering information on telephone numbers such as this will tell you partial information on a number. This can be useful for cyber criminals. For investigators like me, it can be used to gather information on a phone number of a suspect without engaging the telco. So I don't have to call up the telecommunications provider and ask for information, which I don't have the authority to do so anyway. On another public website, you can input a phone number and determine a generic geolocation of yourself or the target. Lastly, this service shows if the number is used by telemarketers, charities, political surveyors, scammers, NGOs, and so on. It is particularly useful if you keep getting calls from unknown numbers. It's also useful in determining if a scamming syndicate is using the same set of phone numbers to ring up their potential victims. And then we have the website OSINT. Conducting OSINT on websites can appear complex, especially when there are different and various type of data and information to be considered. It can get too technical. So website owners can either have their registration details public or hidden at a cost. So obviously for public registrations, information on the previous and current owner of a website can be seen and listed, which includes name, phone number, the date the website was registered, and if there were any changes made to the website. And if you're lucky, you can sometimes get a home or an office address. Hidden website details require paid subscription. It is most often used as a security fence, not just for criminals, but for organizations and people who want to protect their privacy. This is a tool to acquire more information on the website and its owner. Using this service, one can extract hidden and published links associated to the website. For example, social media accounts, blogs, and other websites that can be used to pivot to other information. This simplifies the information gathering process of OSINT by getting a lot more information from a single source rather than searching on multiple sources. This is a tool you use when the website no longer exists. You can view the archive version to see if there's any information that can be collected. Images. Similar to Google Images, this website offer you free and paid versions of search results. The advantage of using these services compared to Google is that these services search in other search engines as well, providing you with a wider or more range in the results. So we've arrived at the statistical or sentiment analysis with OSINT on Facebook and Instagram. Sometimes I receive cases of a different nature, which is to acquire information on an advertisement for statistical and sentiment analysis. So to stay relevant, social media platforms now offer monetization and advertising features to attract both buyers and sellers. Like Facebook, they have their Facebook ads. So Facebook created its ad library in 2019 as a direct response to the Facebook political ad controversy in 2016, which was the when Donald Trump won as the president. And to improve transparency, Facebook decided to provide everyone, including those without Facebook accounts, access to information on all active ads on its platform. This is not an OSINT tool per se, but we can use this to estimate income generation of an advertisement, or we can profile the sponsor of an advertisement. So in other words, we can follow the money trail of a Facebook user who is sponsoring or paying for the advertisement and profile that particular user. Therefore, searching and analyzing for information should not be limited to specific tools and services. In this example, if it provides you with the information you want, use it. So here is an example of a search I did with the keyword UMNO for no particular reason. You can search ads by category, the drop down menu here. By ad category, which is all ads, and then there's issues, elections or politics, and you can define the keyword here. So based on the search results, you can research more by filtering those results. You can filter the results by delivery by region, by languages, by media type, by advertiser. You can see here, these are the names that are sponsoring ads. So their names, and you can actually click on the names here, and it will be taken to their Facebook account. Filter by platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Audience Network, and Messenger. by media type, by memes, images, videos, and so on. You can see if the ad is active or inactive. Check out the impressions by date for those ads. So you can filter them by the calendar here. And disclaimer. And lastly, the potential reach. So an ad on Facebook actually categorized by different potential reach. So if you pay more, obviously the ad will be published to a wider range of audience. So these are the number of potential reach or people that has or could be an audience of an ad. Next, we have the statistical or sentiment analysis with OSINT using hashtags. So why are hashtags considered important in OSINT? Hashtags are words that are used to identify and promote a social media posting in order to gain influence or more people to view, like, and comment on a particular post. There can be two ways where OSINT can be used on hashtags. If you are looking to find information for a particular subject that use a hashtag, who, where, why. In some cases, unique hashtags can also be identified and linked to a single user or who started that hashtag. The second being you are looking to extract statistics on the hashtag to research more on user sentiments and statistics, such as how many users are using it, time and date, which is the duration of the hashtag used, and so on. So these are the respective platforms hashtag search features. So now that we know how to search for hashtags on various platforms, what if there is a need to collect more information on a specific hashtag or the users that use the hashtag and their information? So the example above are the key data that can be collected from a hashtag on Twitter. These are the results of the hashtag and keyword when I use for by the keyword caprice. So you can see from the table here the user that used the hashtag, the tweet content, the creation date of the tweet, the time, geo coordinates or possible location where the tweet was made, the tweet made in reply to another Twitter user, the number of user followers, user friend count, location, and the status URL. Next is also the same, but this time with YouTube. YouTube has one of the best, if not complex, monetization process to determine if a user is eligible to generate income. So the first part extracts the profile photo and channel name. We also have a channel creation date and time. Its country association code, which is the US, and custom URL value of MKBHD. So channel statistics on YouTube tells us a bit more about the channel. So I've received multiple requests asking about monetization on social media platforms. My answer is quite simple. There is no way you can tell the exact amount a social media influencer makes unless you are the influencer itself, obviously. Why? Because the exact analytics can only be seen by the owner and the social media platform. Each have their own complex algorithms to calculate monetization. So I'll give you an example. A video and a channel that has 2 million likes and 1 million shares today could have twice the amount tomorrow, as the algorithm of YouTube calculates this and adds advertisements on the video. Plus, even though a video can have 3 or 4 advertisements, it does not mean that the advertisement count as revenue for the owner. As viewers need to completely watch the advertisements for the owner to earn money. So that is why some influencers or content creators use affiliate links and product placements to complement their income. Um, but in certain cases where we see the view count or number of subscribers are very, very high, we can safely assume that the owner is monetizing to a certain extent. So for this example here in MKBHD, the channel qualifies for the highest monetization category, which is the diamond. So with the tool here, OSINT tool here, we can actually inspect and gather information on the channel and the owner itself. So these are the statistics of MKBHD's channel. He's a very popular YouTuber. So just a quick fact, he has about more than 1,300 videos the last time I checked. So these are the first 10 videos. Next, we have geotags. In YouTube, you can actually tag a location to your videos. Travel YouTubers often tag their videos according to the locations where the videos were shot at. This is basically to let their subscribers know where they were and the location of which recording was made. Sometimes YouTubers tag the location of where they often visit or shoot their videos. This could be an office or a house, although it might not be precise, but it can also be helpful when you're doing OSINT on geolocating a subject and tracking their movements. So next we have links. Every link in every video MKBHD has put is aggregated here. This is useful for OSINT investors. Other section which contains potential aggregated data. And lastly, we have the feature to geolocate videos on YouTube by channel, topic, or title. Right, so we see methods, tools, samples of information gathering with OSINT. We know OSINT can be used for good, countermeasuring cyber criminals, help NGOs, and gather information for academic research. But OSINT can also be used for nefarious purposes, exposing people's identity to harm their reputation, as an example. This is mostly commonly referred to as a dox. I've shown this doxing definition to you earlier. But now let's take a look at a few examples on the misuse of OSINT. All right, this is an example of a dox that happened in 2014. A video of a traffic accident that escalated to road bullying by the owner of the white Peugeot seen here went viral on social media. The owner's PII was obtained through her vehicle registration number from the video. If you can see here. So the insurance details, workplace and address was first published on this Facebook page. Known for doxing a large amount of people for traffic violations. Further PII of the vehicle owner was also published in the comment section of the same posting. This time a more detailed PII of the owner of the white Peugeot. This time her name, IC number and home address was also published. Besides publishing the owner's PII, the owner was also a victim of a troll. There were multiple social media accounts and blog pages created after the video went viral, with some gaining thousands of followers and likes. There was even a hashtag based on the vehicle's registration that trended locally and worldwide. So in fact, as the accounts and pages still exist today, she is still considered a victim of a troll, even though she made a public apology on her social media account and on radio. Right, so at this point, we've learned what OSINT is, the purposes, the type of data we can get with OSINT, how it is used, and who uses it. To put the things we have learned so far into perspective, let's look into a more recent case scenario. Please note that the information shown here is for educational and awareness purposes. No bad intention towards the woman in this video. The only purpose here is to show that even a simple search on the internet can reveal a lot of information on someone or a subject. So in this viral video, a woman was seen verbally abusing the policeman at a roadblock in Sabah. The video went viral and she became a victim of a dox as netizens scout the internet for her information. So that is the viral video. So at a certain point in the video, the vehicle's registration number can be seen, and the owner can be heard telling the policeman her nickname and a name of a company, which is Wawa and Wahid Enterprise. So the photo on the left here is a screen capture of the video paused at a certain point. So we can clearly see the vehicle registration number here. And I will play an excerpt of the video where she stated her nickname and a name of a company here. Right. So So based on that video, a website published or shared the story about that woman in the video. So the question here is the information from the website open source? The answer would be yes, because it's open to the public. And in the article, there's a link to the Facebook account of the woman at the roadblock. Is that considered open source? Yes, because it's public. Can you open the link without having a Facebook account? Yes, I've tried it. You can actually browse through her profile without having a Facebook account. The search for Wawa Wahid Enterprise above was done solely by Google search and social media, and the data information on Wawa is public. So by pivoting on the links found containing nickname Wawa and Wahid Enterprise, I was able to obtain more information such as her real name, her cafe and boutique location, as well as her father's name. So based on the search, I found another website based on the keyword Wawa L Diamond, and in the article in the website states her name is Jawahir. So these are the information gathered. We also found another article in the Borneo Post where it is stated her real name is Jawahir Nur Ismail. And in the article, she also stated that she owns a boutique and a modeling agency, and the location of that boutique. And there's also the picture which was posted in another Facebook account, not related to Jawahir. I did a further keyword search on No Jawahir Ismail, her real name, and I found a blog or a website post that mentions the name of Ustaz Ismail Doa as the father of the woman in the video. So from the doxing information published on bpkini.com here, we now know her IC number as well and a general location of where she lives. Her IC number, vehicle type, registration, full name and address is listed and doxed at a website. So from the perspective of someone with ill intentions, such as a hacker, this is bad news for the victim, as more information can actually be extracted from her IC number and vehicle registration number. She can possibly be harassed or cyberbullied on her social media account, and probably be harassed in real life as well. But from an investigator's point of view, if the character of Wawa Wahid Enterprise here is changed into a hardcore militant terrorist, this can also be a treasure chest of information. Test case number 2 is profiling done on an actual individual as well. Again, I'd like to stress that the search was done for demonstration and academic purposes. I have no ill intentions toward this person. I shall censor the images, name, address, and other uh, deemed sensitive information found and shown in the slides for his digital security and privacy. So this test case is based on a well-known, highly professional expatriate. The interesting fact is that this person is actually an academic specializing in digital security and privacy. So, and it's a member of numerous international and local organizations involving the promotion, advocacy, and protection of privacy, specifically on the internet and information security. So to start with my information gathering, I already have his name. My objective was to gather as much information as I can on him without using any paid services, only with free resources found on the internet. So using his name, the first result I found based on a name search was his website. Next, I found metadata on one of his photos on the website that states the phone model that was used to take this photo here. Right, so this is the metadata. So I already know that the photo was taken using an iPhone 7 Plus. I found other social media accounts of his Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook. I also managed to obtain a record of his complete address, date of birth on a foreign website where he is from. So based on his complete address, I wanted to verify his geolocation and his home address. So what do? I Googled the building name based on this address and found photos of the building right here, marked in the red box. So at the start of the search, where I found a photo of him on his website, I noticed in the background of the photo was a structural element indicated by the red box that had similar features to the one I found on Google. So these two red boxes here indicate the same structural element. Therefore, based on the home address found on the foreign website, the profile photo with the structural element has identical features from the building. I can summarize a few points here. I've identified the home of the person and I have his complete address. Bear in mind, this information is public and it is not entirely his fault that his PII is published on the internet. But the fact that it is out there, it is scary. So I did the second one. I did not have to search a lot to find out about his PII. Also the fact that he is a strong advocate on data privacy and digital security does not mean that he is not vulnerable to data leaks. This tells you a lot about the level of privacy awareness among citizens. And those with less knowledge on digital security and privacy will be more susceptible to exposure. We're almost near to the end of my talk. I have a few tips, and I'm sure you've read or heard about this before. I hope, speaking from experience and what I've shared today, that you always keep these tips in mind. the next time you use the internet. You should turn off location sharing when taking photos and avoid geotagging your location when sharing to social media. Avoid tagging family members or spouse, relatives on your photos. You should frequently Google yourself. I do that every time just to check my digital footprints. Avoid unknown friend or follow requests and unnecessary interactions on social media. Set your social media account to private. It's not worth having 1 million followers and then having your account hacked the next day. If you have dormant social media accounts that you no longer use, please deactivate them. Use a different email address and complex passwords for each social media account. Before I end my session on OSINT in digital security and privacy, I would like to share with you some OSINT and digital security and privacy related movies. The 4 movies here are my favorites. Watch it when you're in the mood to get a better grasp of OSINT. These 3 movies are available on Netflix. Part of my job scope requires publications on a e-security bulletin. So here I'd like to share a few OSINT related articles that I authored. They're kind of old though, but it's worth a read if you want. Warrantless surveillance, the dangers of location sharing in 2014, as well as a MH370 crisis management from a cybersecurity perspective, both from 2014 and also in 2017, where I wrote about cyber balkanization. So before I end my session, here's how you can contact Cybersecurity Malaysia through our physical address and phone numbers, as well as our social media accounts and email addresses as well. Feel free to drop us an email, comments, or any inquiries you might have. With that, my session comes to an end. I'd like to thank you all for your time and effort, for inviting and giving me the opportunity to speak and share some of my knowledge here today. So I hope the knowledge I've shared will be beneficial to you in whatever you do. So I believe I will pass this back to Nur Shafiqah for the Q&A session. I will end the show now. Thank you.
Okay, now I will open the Q&A session. And if anyone have question, you can share it in the chat box so I can read to be answered by Mr. Rizal. I think I have question. Okay, question from Angeline Jane Brandon. In terms of cybersecurity, does the advertisement give us viruses and may access our data? For example, the YouTube, Facebook ads, or the ads that pop up when we click a website or links from the page.
Can you clarify that question again, please?
Okay, the question is, in the terms of cybersecurity, does the advertisement give us viruses and may access our data?
All right. For example, in Facebook ads, if you are a sponsor of an advertisement on Facebook, someone else can actually go to Facebook ads and see that you are the sponsor of that particular ad. In when you refer to viruses, not through ads, but you can actually get viruses if they send the ad through your Facebook messages, for example. So in the form of a link where you have to click on the link, and that link will take you to another website which will probably um, give you a virus through a file, um, or a browser extension. So that was one of the tips that I give you. Avoid clicking on links. But in terms of adverts, just viewing advertisements on Facebook and so on, that won't give you any viruses. Does that answer your question, Shafika?
I hope your answer will give information to the participant that asked the question. Okay, we move to question number 2 from Nur Azuhanis Abdul Wahab. What is the risk of performing OSINT investigation?
The risk of performing OSINT investigations, if you are not authorized to do so, for example, you are a normal citizen and you conduct OSINT investigations on another person. It depends on the mode of OSINT you are on. For example, like I've mentioned before, there are 3 modes of OSINT. If you're doing passive OSINT, you will not be alerting anyone that you are investigating that person. So therefore, the risk is almost non-existent or less. But if you use active OSINT where you need to interact with that particular person, such as Facebook chat or DMs or direct messagings, and that person starts a conversation with you, that is very highly risky, because that would obviously raise suspicion on the target. I mean, if that person doesn't know you and suddenly you request a friend to be friends with him, that would definitely sound an alarm. But I think uh, if you're referring to OSINT investigations for a subject, let's just say for academic purposes, there's less risk there because the information or the data you're interacting with is actually just static information. They were probably at one point published by someone, but that someone is not monitoring those data constantly. So it's just information that has been published one time and it's left there. The uploader or the owner doesn't care about it anymore. Then that's fine. Couldn't be an issue. Any other questions?
Oh, okay, so I hope it will answer Nur Azhani's question. Okay, next question is from Salwiyah Abdul Rahman. Is OSINT always intelligence or it be evident?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
Um,
What was the question again? Sorry.
The question is OSINT always intelligence or it be evidence?
Okay. OSINT is um, a method of collecting intelligence, and intelligence in the form of evidence. So basically, what you find using OSINT, which is the method itself, and the information that you found is basically evidence. So in the IT world, there's a lot of jargons and terminologies that refers to the same thing. So when I say intelligence gathering, it is also the same as information gathering. Or when I say data, it can also mean evidence. So it depends on what you're doing OSINT for. So for us in the industry, for example, if you're in the digital forensics domain, you might call data or information you found using OSINT as evidence, because obviously this information is called evidence because it will be brought into court for prosecution or defense purposes.
Yeah, I hope the answer by Mr. Riza will give something benefit that the participant that answered the question. So the Q&A has ended, and so in our knowledge sharing session. A big thanks once again to Mr. Riza bin Abu Bakar for joining us today. Indeed, we greatly appreciate the time he spent with us to share his experience and knowledge today. So, attention to all participants, the attendance link is already provided in the chat box. You are requested to fill it, and e-certificate will be sent to the email filled by you in the form provided. Thank you for your willingness and cooperation.
Thank you.
Okay, so attendees are asked to open your